You're listening to Itchen Radio.
Exactly, you are listening to our international show at Itchen Radio because of the Remembrance Day and also the National Independence Day that is in Poland today. We have a special guest in our studio. I'm here with Wiktor Ottembrajt, a Polish combatant, Siberian survivor, and the chairman of the Polish Combatant Society in Southampton. Good afternoon. It is a great honor and pleasure to welcome you here.
Thank you.
Could you tell me how your story started and where were you when the war began?
We was at home, 1940. The Russian came at 3 o'clock in the morning in February 1940, knock on the door and ask your name. And then he said, you got 2 hours to pack and you going away from your home.
Did you know where?
Nobody knew where we're going. And they didn't know as well. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. We didn't know where we're going. Only, come on, no time waste. Pack your things, don't take too many things. And at 7 o'clock we left it. We left the place, home. They only brought one sledge. That wasn't enough. So we used our own sledge and our own horses as well to get us to the station.
How old were you at that time?
I was 6 years old. My brother was 6 years old. My sister, she was 11. Then my brother was 12, and the sister, 2 older sisters. One was 13, one was 15, and of course parents. So on one sledge it wasn't enough. So that's how we came. We came to the station. I think, if I'm right, is a name of the town was Krzemieniec. And they loaded us to the goods wagon, and you couldn't get out from it. And all the train, when the train was all full up, off we go. We didn't know where we're going, and nobody tells you where you're going. And took us 3 weeks, and we did go to Siberia. To Siberia, that's how long it took us. 3 weeks on a goods train.
Without food, probably, yeah.
Food, well, you took with you a little bit. They give you on the stations if you're lucky. If you're not lucky, you don't have, because it's a long train in Russia, a goods train, and of course it's a single line as well. So if the important train coming from back or from the front, you have to go on a lay-by with your train, where you could be sitting there for 4 hours until that train passes, then you carry on. So it wasn't nice as you think. No water. They give you bucket, and the fire was, I'm saying, because that was February, very cold. They give us there was in that wagon was a fire, and the bucket. The bucket's supposed to be for the water, but I think a lot of people been using for the other bits. As soon as they move the train, the water fall out, the bucket fall down, water come out, and there's no water anyway. So what you only could do is to hold your hand through the hose and collect the water from the roof.
Terrible.
Because that's how the thing was. So it wasn't easy. We didn't know they should take a bottle or something for water. They didn't tell us. But at the same time, it's easier to kill you without water and food. So, that's how, and we end up, after 3 weeks, in Siberia.
That's very interesting story. To be honest, as I heard, it was very difficult to be child in 1940. Could you tell me what life was like in Siberia?
Well, life for me was quite good for children. I say for children was okay, because from 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night, I was in a play school or nursing home. So they feed me there, they look after me. Yeah. So really, you are, when you go home, You don't see your brothers, sisters much at all because you're going to bed. And in the morning you get up at 6 because you got to go to the nursery. So you don't see, to be honest, you don't see your brothers and sisters, really. Only on Sunday. But one thing I remember really, really well, when one Sunday, the fellow in charge of the village is like sort of, call us all the Polish people to the canteen, and they asked the children to come forward, and he said, ask the children, do you believe in God? And everybody sort of like shocked a little bit, what I got to do. But if you believe in God, ask God to give you the sweet. It's not, you don't think that way, but you cannot say no. And we have to asking God to give us a sweet. And we did. All of us children, God give us a sweets. And it was silent all the way. So after a little bit, maybe one minute or something like that, he said, so where is your God? The fellow in charge of the village. Oh, where's your God? You're asking your God? No sweets. So what sort of God it is? But, he says, do you see picture of Stalin on a wall? Ask him. And I thought myself, he must be crazy. Ask portrait to give you the sweet. But you have to ask. He said, come on, children. They all sort of didn't want it, but we have to do that. And we said, Batyushka Stalin, that's in Russian, or no, change for English, Granddad Stalin, give us a sweet. And from that sort of, when we said it, the ceilings open and the sweets come down. So of course, as a children, younger or or a little bit older,
you believe
everybody go for it. And after you took some one or two, he asking them children, who is better? He asking us, who is better? God or Stalin? Children say, Stalin, because he gave us a sweet. But don't forget one thing, maybe I hope I'm not wrong, that child is your policeman in that family. Because by doing so, 2 weeks later or 1 week later, I can't remember exactly, did have a situation when mother prayed for better future, I would like to go home and all this. And the child heard her. And he asked, in that play school, he asked the child, man, what, do your mom happy or you're not happy or what? Oh, mom prayed to God to give us a freedom and we go back home and I would love to do. So she didn't like it. No, she didn't. And they came 3 o'clock in the morning, no, after midnight, and you told her, you said so and so. You can't deny it because it's your child. Your child said that. They have to punish the lady.
For praying.
For praying, but at the same time, because praying, so Stalin no good, or Russia communism no good, and that. And they have to give her 5 lashes on her bottom. That's only very little. 5 lashes, and husband was sitting.
And watching that.
Watching, but fellow said, one of them, don't say a word, because if you say something, you will go and you will never see your family again.
Terrible.
That's how things. So that really sweets, and I could only give you that. One of our priests, he went through that situation as well through Russia, and he said he did have the same situation with the God and Stalin, with the sweets. He was tell us in a church. So it must be something. Not that I'm I'm, lying and things like that. But that is the truth.
Incredible story and moments that you have experienced. I'm actually speechless of the fact that Russians were using propaganda techniques even on kids. Terrible. Can you tell me what's happened to you and your family when Stalin announced amnesty for Polish prisoners?
Well, when we hear about the amnesty, then okay, you have to go, but you have to have your own transport. In other words, you have to pay for your transport. But I don't know that my parents did know or not, but we have to go to Uzbekistan. From Siberia to Uzbekistan took us 3 months on the same sort of train like we went to Russia. And you cannot open the door when you want.
So basically it was worst.
Well, it's 3 months, you just, and what the worst of all was, if you stop on a station for water, for locomotive, for engine, and of course water and coal, then they go around, they're checking all the wagons. Anybody's sick. And if you're sick, so they grab you out, throw you on, because that was winter time when we were going from Russia, winter time in January, and they throw you out on the snow. Well, if you survive, you survive. If you're not, so you're dead. So what's the worry? Everybody, not only anybody. And one mother, they took a child because she said she is ill, but probably nothing much to it, but he was ill, and she needs a little bit help. But they didn't. They just grabbed the child from her and throw on the snow. If he just said it. If you survive, survive. If not, if not. But mother couldn't bear it. And she jumped out from the train and very quietly, they mustn't see her that she did what she did. And she went and grabbed her child, and went a bit further, so hiding like. When the train's gonna be moved, she jumped to the other train, and in the end, she did find us as well over there. So it wasn't easy. When we end up after 3 months going like that, you can't imagine. No food, no water, and the only water, people start thinking about the water, but a lot of things happen. The only thing you can do, if you want to buy something, you cannot buy for money. Money is no good to nobody almost, because you could only buy one time in a year. You want shoes, one pair of shoes. Something clothing, one shirt or whatever, and that's it. The rest, if you want something more, especially food, you have to give us something, my own shirt or jacket or anything like that, exchange. That way you could do it, otherwise no. So yes, my parents have to, when going for, we have to do so much tobacco, because you could do quite a lot for that. So we pay tobacco and some other bit to get that train. But it wasn't easy, I tell you now. It's unbelievable. But as a child, you don't see a lot of things. Only afterwards, you could sort of vision. But in Uzbekistan, when we end up over there, we couldn't join the Polish army with the whole family. And they said, no, there is no room. We couldn't afford to keep you. You have to go to the villages, Uzbekistan villages, and over there. But again, if you go there, you have to work. Otherwise, no food. If you don't work, you don't need the food. That's so simple. And when we were in that village, and in a hut was 2 rooms, one for one family and one for our family. The other family have 2 daughters, mother and father. But he was sick on a migraine, bad one. So he couldn't work. Well, if you don't work, you don't need the food, do you? So, but he wants, it's that sort of thing. He has 2 daughters, and the wife work. So they give her so much, I think 50 grams of bread a day. And so he couldn't get nothing. He won't get nothing. So a little bit from them he got it, but that's not enough. And one night when he saw my mother put the bread on a chimney breast, he saw it, and when we were all sleeping after probably midnight, maybe, I don't know, timing, he went very quiet to the kitchen, and he took that bread and eat it all for 5 people. He eat it all. In the morning, my mother get up, making a cup of tea, because for 7 o'clock we had to be at work. She went for the bread. Oh, bread gone. Father get up. Sorry, my darling, bread gone. What do you mean gone? Why, it's gone. No, there's no bread. Oh, must be my son. You know, he must have took it and eat it because he was sleeping in the kitchen. So he waking me up. I wasn't there.
Oh.
So he come up, you and her start shouting on him. And you must have eaten bread for all. He said, no, Father. That bread is for all of us. For all of us. I didn't. And Mother said, if he says he didn't, he didn't. But whoever took that bread, he needs more than we do.
Terrible.
But I been in orphanage because my parents couldn't manage to feed us all. Me, my brother, and my sister, we went to orphanage, and I got a 20 gram of bread a day, and not even baked properly. And I make a little bowl, and that bowl, eat it. First one, somebody took it away because I put it under the pillow for later. Somebody saw me, and he went put it's a bread. He eat. Next time, no, I got it, eat it. That's it. So it wasn't pleasant, but that's how it happened. Now, 3 years later, then from there, we went all the way, end up in Africa. But my brother from Africa, he went to Palestine for cadets, joined the cadets over there. And he went to the office over there, and he saw a fellow standing by the tent, and he only recognized him, but he cut the finger. When he was in Russia, he cut his finger to be sick for 2 weeks. That way, my migraine will drop, I will have a food, and I don't have to work.
Clever, but terrible. All right, I'm shocked, but also interested to what's happened next to you and your family. Can you tell me what's happened to you after World War II?
Well, after War II, but what happened is this. As we left, when we knew, we went to Uzbekistan, and then we know that going to be British taking us away from Russia. That's the main bit for us, to get out of Russia. So yes, we have to go to the Caspian Sea, not very far, Caspian Sea, and then we wait for a ship to take us to Persia those days. Those days was Persia to Persia. And then that's what happened then. From there, we were traveling, a lot of things we clean up first. Of course, when we came to Persia, it was a big, long tent for ladies, children, girls, and for the boys and men. 2 long tents, and you go in there, they shave you off, take your clothes off, shower, then dress yourself, dress you, then you see by the doctor, and off you go. But all the rest are there because we are so much in sort of free.
I know, they're like a small insects in your hair.
Yeah,
I know.
Nits,
nits.
All over. So all that was burned. But one thing was very good. Before we even entered to Persia, they took all the money. Anybody got any money, they took it away. Not that for the reason. because we're all hungry. You want more? If I have a 20 gram of bread and soup like a water, what can you do? It's not much. The children dying anyway, but that's how. And then we went, of course, from there slowly to Persia, and through Persia on a lorries. That means Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan to India. All that travels on mostly lorries. And then when we to India, to Bombay, and then from Bombay to Africa. I was there to Tanganyika those days when I was
Tanzania.
there. Now it's Tanzania. And I was there in a big camp, 6,000 of us. And of course over there was all right. Then from 1950, they go closing camps, sort of 1950, 51, they closing camps in Africa. So in 1950, I came to England. I didn't know that I'm going to be here from the beginning. Nobody tell us where we're going to be.
Probably you wanted back to Poland.
Everybody wants to go back to home because those days we didn't know what's going to happen with our country yet. Because that's how things happen. And then, so we wanted, because we're learning Polish school with there, learning everything, like in Europe, and we want to go back. We didn't know we were going to be in English only in the end of the year because all the soldiers, 1946, they came to England. So all the families in Russia, and even, I'm not sure, in Germany, they as well came, sort of. So the army came, Africa, mostly mothers with children. So they want to join them to father if he's here, or brother, something like that. So nobody in army. We didn't have nobody in army, but they took us, and I can't complain. I came to England, 1950, and then I went to school, not English school, because I didn't learn English at home in Africa. I could speak Swahili. I could sing the song in Swahili. I could speak a bit of in Russia or understand what they're saying, but not English.
And when did you move to Southampton?
In 1966. Because I first ended up in Wiltshire, in Trowbridge, well, in a camp over there, but then we moved in 1956. They're closing all the camps in England, and everybody, depends where your parents working, they're going to give them a council house. But I ended up in Trowbridge. And then from Trowbridge, all sorts of things happened, but that's a different life. I enjoy it.
All right, now I would like to thank you, Mr. Wiktor, for taking your time. You said really incredible, interesting stories, which I could listen all the time. It was a great honor to welcome you here. But before we finish, I would like to ask you one more very important question. What sort of advice would you give to youngsters?
What advice? Well, I would say this: learn. Don't worry, although I don't care this, I don't want to go, I don't want to learn, I'll be doing so and so. Learn and then go to work, because that's how I did. I didn't know English at all. But I learned from what this is, what that is. I ask every bit. And after 4 months, I learned English. But at the same time, when I went to work, I looked. I was in a factory where we were making, engineering, turning something on a cups and that sort of thing. But I learned how the other person done, looking a little bit on the side, you could sort of see what they're doing. And I did very, very good jobs from time. Not always, but I did because I learned. And they said, well, he could do it, so you could do it. Not say, I know. If you know, show me. And then you got to find out I couldn't do it. So don't be sort of fast. Do it, and don't say too much, Because if you're good,
Never give up.
they will respect you for it. But if you're going to say, I know, no, you don't know. And that's my way of looking. Have a respect for the people and respect for the job. And then you succeed.
Worth to remember. Thank you very much for your time. That was my guest was Wiktor Ottembrajt, Polish combatant and Siberian survivor, but also the Polish chairman of the Polish Combatant Society in Southampton. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Itchen Radio.